we will update the Prisma schema with a lesson progress model so we can track our course progress in the database. So the first thing that we're going to do is to grab a lesson progress model here, and we'll paste this in. And then I'll explain to you exactly what's going on here. So this model is very similar to the ones that we've already seen in that we have an ID at the top to give it a unique identifier. Then we have a created at, updated at, times. But the real value here is that we have this completed field. We use this completed field in conjunction with the user email to determine and keep track of which users have completed which lessons. And this is all that we need to keep track of. We don't need to keep track of which chapters have been completed or which courses have been completed, because if we know which lessons have been completed, we can use the other data we have in the database to determine which lessons are part of which chapters and which chapters are part of which courses. And from that, we can calculate which chapters are completed and which courses are completed. So in order to do that, we need to link each lesson progress model or each lesson progress object with a lesson object. And so we do that with this relation here, where we link the lesson ID field in our lesson progress model, which references the ID in our lesson. Now, this is giving me an error here because we don't have the corresponding relation in the lesson object or in the lesson model. But if I save, then the Prisma extension will add that in for us. So I hit save and it adds in this lesson progress array here. And this shows us that each lesson can map to, or each lesson has multiple lesson progress objects, one for every single user. One other thing that we need to add to this model, which we haven't done yet with Prisma, is to add a unique attribute. And this attribute says that every single combination of lesson ID and user email should be unique. And so this will tell the database that every single row has to be unique, and it will not actually let us add in duplicate rows. And this is because we don't want duplicates. Each user can only complete or not complete each lesson once. It doesn't make sense to have duplicates there. And where this really becomes important is that when we go to write our endpoint that updates this data, we need to be able to find a specific record. And we can only do that if there is a guaranteed unique field. Now, we can't guarantee that the user email is unique by itself because each user will complete multiple lessons. We can't guarantee that this lesson ID will be unique on its own, again, because there are multiple lessons. But the combination of them is unique. And so that's why we're able to add these in together. In the later lesson where we actually write this endpoint, you'll see this come into play, where we use the fact that this is unique in order to select a specific row. So now that we've got our schema updated with this lesson progress model, the next step is to update our database. So that requires us to come over to Prisma here, and we'll run Prisma migrate dev, which will update our client object, then create the migration, and then run the migration against our database. We'll give it a name that's descriptive. And away we go. If we go over to our Supabase instance, we should see that it's updated in the table, or that it's updated by adding a table. So here we go. We've got our lesson progress table that's added in. Currently, this is completely empty, but that will change in the next lesson once we add in that endpoint.